All right, let's look at some Fiore shenanigans. Dagger and staff versus spear. That's a rather unusual combination. But the way he describes it makes a lot of sense, actually. So, I'm the one who attacks the master with the hands weirdly close together on the spear.
It does mention in the manual that if he had had his hands further apart, this wouldn't work as well.
Exactly. So, I'm going in here with a spear thrust, and there it is. So just displacing the spear thrust to the side. It doesn't really matter which side I do. If I step in like this, you can still do that. The point is, he has that barrier, essentially. It doesn't matter which side I go for. Here it goes to the left, there it goes to the right. Either way, I'm not in a good position here. I think this is probably the least convenient for you, because then you have to push the staff to the side, but you can do that. It's not a problem. He also says that if the hands are further apart, I can counter that. So the idea is I thrust that. When he comes in with the dagger, I have the staff to work with. So I can get that out of the way and then strike or thrust or whatever.
There's also the leverage principle, if I can switch with you really quickly. With my hands close together like this, as he pushes it aside, I don't have a lot of resistance to that. Whereas my hands apart.
Yeah, this is way harder. I can't just leisurely push it to the side. I mean, I can, but the thing is, chances are I may have to step over here. And that gives him a chance. So this is really for an inexperienced spear user, which, considering what a simple weapon it is, it's plausible that somebody would just charge you and try to run you through that way. So, yeah, basically, if you do it well, ideally I want this to be on the outside, because this makes it way easier for me to move in. So, boom, boom. Yep, if you step back, I'm still screwed potentially, unless we just continue this way.
And then we're fighting.
So, yeah, really strange take on this. He has 2 cudgels, so wooden club, basically just wooden branches, just very, very simple. And he's facing a guy with a spear who holds it kind of more like a sword, like this. So how do you think this is going to go down? He has 2 clubs, so he can use the one defensively and move in with the other, right? So if he strikes this, yeah, there you go. That's not the Italian way. He does it differently. This is what Fiore wants to do. Throw your right cudgel, knock the spear aside with your left, and draw your dagger. I mean, I guess it works.
There are no
Fair
words.
enough. I do have to wonder what events led up to this, to a guy who walks around with 2 wooden branches who's being confronted by a dude with a spear.
I mean, there is that one HEMA master who suggests always carrying a bag of rocks.
If a guy with a spear starts hollering at him from way over there, he might be like, okay, I'm going to break off some clubs.
Tree branches.
I don't know. What about dagger versus longsword? Rogue versus fighter, essentially.
I don't like the chances of this. This is a technique that shows how it could be done, but the likelihood of succeeding in this, I find highly unlikely.
Yeah. So, as you can tell, Erik is pretty tall, and that gives him a bit of a reach advantage, or in this case, lessens his reach disadvantage. But either way, I can be out of frame, basically, and step in and strike him quite easily. And even while I strike him, he still can't really get me. I can just about get the hand, and that's it, assuming I deliver a thrust. So I come in. That's the theory.
If he overcommits his thrust and doesn't really respond to what I'm doing.
If I just come walking in there like, completely overcommitted, and I have no idea what to do. But if I don't, if I just thrust.
I'm done. I'm dead.
This is already bringing it to the outside, which is where I want to be, but he still has options. If I do it on the other side, it's even worse. Because now, I don't even have anything here. This is just, this is the best I can hope for. But you have to be so fast, and if the other person is stronger, you're doomed.
It's one of those cases where everything has to line up just right or it will fail. So we're gonna see exactly what happens if I actually strike with intent. And he's going to try and parry a downward cut from a sword, a longsword, with a dagger. I pulled that a lot. Yeah. Let's try that again.
I think I got that. This is very, very risky. I want to ideally catch this on the strong of the blade so I have the rigidity that I need, because here it's just going to push through. There's nothing really saving me. But if I misjudge this just a little bit, he's going to cut right through my hand. And if anything goes even slightly wrong, it's going to blow through, hit me in the head, hit me in the arm. The other dagger versus sword defense I've seen in the manuals is that, which is, again, incredibly risky. Because if he hits this hand, if he hits that hand, I'm done. But at least the idea is you support this with both hands, so you actually have something. And you step into it and stop it before it's reached
terminal velocity.
Yeah. So it's technically, like, structurally sound. So if you're really, really skilled,
maybe it might work.
You could potentially make it work, but it's such a massive disadvantage that you have to be more skilled than the other person.
Now, that being said, still probably better than unarmed against longsword.
Oh, for sure.
Because if you don't have a weapon and I cut at your head, I'm going through that arm, and yeah, that's just going to be ugly.
Again, if you boil it down to mechanics, if I know exactly the angle at which you're cutting, I know that how I have to push against the flat and push it out of the way, in theory.
In theory.
But if his angle is just a little bit different than what I expect.
Should we try it with a sharp?
Yeah, sure.
In theory.
So basically, let's say I expect a 45 angle cut, and he goes closer to horizontal. So I expect a 45, and my arm is off.
Or more vertical.
Yeah, or that. This is cutting right through my arm, probably, and still into my head or my chest. Somebody will probably bring this up, so we might as well address it. What if you do the Dark Souls roll?
Great.
I mean, frankly,
roll.
Now, to be fair, somebody more athletic and faster, etc., may be able to do it fast. But even the fastest, most efficient roll you can do is going to take longer than the other person just a quick adjustment step. It's not going to take much, because I can't cover that much distance by just rolling, whereas you with proper footwork can cover quite a bit of distance pretty quickly. And you can easily chase me and impale me or cut me at the same time. The only exception to that is I've seen a really good demonstration where somebody is rushing at a guy who has a holstered gun, and he's rushing at him with a knife, and he's running straight at him. He rolls out of the way to have a chance to draw his gun, and the other guy, it's going to take him longer to stop and change direction. So basically the same idea as what we do when somebody rushes us, and we do offline step, and it's going to take them longer to stop and adjust.
If I didn't have the longsword, I think that might help a little bit. But with this, it doesn't matter where you are. I can just turn and reach you.
With the knife, yeah, I can absolutely see that, because it's going to take him definitely longer to chase after the person and then bend down and try to thrust that way. But with a longsword, all you do is this.
I've got 4 or 5 feet of reach here, so.
Anyway, let's leave it at that. So hope you found that interesting. Thanks for watching, and have a good one. If you haven't seen it before, I've got an Amazon store where I list certain things that I personally recommend, like swords, knives, video and audio gear, tools, etc. And I'll keep adding new stuff in comments. The link is down below.